Hi guys, I'm Arabdha. You're watching Halborn Flash videos, and we have got a very interesting conversation lined up with GammaSwap today. So we have got Devin and Daniel joining us in for this episode. First of all, guys, welcome to the show, and please tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're joining us from.
All right, sure. I'll start. I've been working on GammaSwap since middle of 2021. I used to really work in Wall Street, and that was over a decade ago. I left Wall Street in 2016 to trade my own strategies and got involved in DeFi afterwards. And I got interested in providing liquidity in Uniswap. So great opportunities back then, and then I saw inefficiency in the market, something that had to be corrected, I thought, and that's how I ended up building GammaSwap. Yeah, so that's a pretty short intro for me.
All right, thanks for that. Maybe Devin, you could tell us a bit about yourself as well.
Yeah, I started in crypto. This has been a while now, since 2016, and yeah, just saw the potential. I think particularly for Ethereum was really interesting to me, like just being able to build any type of like application and not be controlled by like a single entity was really interesting. And just seeing some like the early use cases of Bitcoin were pretty cool too. So was initially very attracted to it, playing around, doing research, but there wasn't much opportunities to join, I guess, Web3 companies after I graduated. So, and I started in Web2. One company I was working for was a YC company doing billing management. Another was managing software spend and usage. And then got the opportunity to go full tilt into crypto after that. Was working on my own projects and trading for about a year. And then most recently was at Figment. They do all the proof of stake infrastructure. And so I was helping judge a hackathon in May, Activate Wormhole, and that's where I met the other GammaSwap guys, and the idea really appealed to me. So joined full time in May and been part of the team since then, helping out with growth and operations.
Awesome. Maybe one of you could also highlight how the inception story of GammaSwap came around. What was the origin like? That's always something very interesting with a project like yours.
Oh, okay, sure. Since I was the first person in it, I figure I'll talk about it.
Sure.
Yeah. So back in 2020, I was I've been trading most strategies since 2016 in crypto, and back in 2020, I was long Ethereum and Bitcoin, and I didn't want to sell my positions because I was very bullish on the market. And then Uniswap V2 popped up in the scene, and there were like yields were pretty good. Impermanence wasn't much of an issue. You're making like 100,000% APY on some of these liquidity mining contracts.
Right.
So I was doing that for 2020 DeFi summer. But then by 2021, the yields had come down a lot. So it didn't seem like it seemed riskier. So I was looking to provide liquidity into the main Uniswap pools that were less risky, but the yields there were much lower. So I tried to calculate what was the expected return on those pools, and I just came to the conclusion that providing liquidity in Uniswap was a negative expected value trade, because Ethereum is going up like 10x, and you're only getting paid like around 20% a year, and you're exposed to all the impermanent loss from the AMM Uniswap. So I came to the conclusion it was a negative expected value trade. So I went to do the opposite, and I just started like thinking about how would I get the opposite trade of the liquidity provision trade. So what I went to do was just short the liquidity inside Uniswap, but there was no one providing that service. So I tried to figure out why no one's doing it. So is there any technical difficulties with it? So that's what I got into building this smart contract back in middle of 2021. Doing all the math behind it also. Then it seemed like it was feasible, so I wrote a Medium article about it. And I wrote a series of articles actually, trying to explain everything from the bottom up. So anybody that didn't have any understanding of crypto the first time looking into this stuff could follow it. And yes, then I started getting some feedback. Also, I mean, that was the purpose of it: get feedback, see if maybe I'm crazy and I'm doing something wrong. And people have started asking me to build this thing, so to actually bring it to the market, and all the people wanted to use it. So that's how I ended up getting invited to a hackathon. in Miami in 2022. And well, yeah, that's what I met the other co-founders. And yeah, so you show the project, the smart contract that I've been working on. We built a UI for it, and we won an award for it. A lot of people liked it.
Wow.
And yeah, so that's also when we started all working together full time on it since then. So that's kind of how the story behind it, or how everything started and the team came about.
Wow, thanks for sharing that. It's such an interesting story. As with a lot of Web3 projects, I see this was also kind of born out of a hackathon. Daniel, the articles that you mentioned, where can one go and read them today?
Those articles, that's in Medium. So we have a publication called GammaSwap Labs, and well, I started writing it there first. It wasn't called GammaSwap Labs or anything. It was just me writing articles about it.
Great. We'll make sure to drop in a link to our viewers there as well. That definitely seems interesting. So you both alluded to a lot of the things that GammaSwap already does. But is there anything else that you would like to add to our viewers who are watching this and trying to understand GammaSwap?
It's a complex topic for a lot of people, and a lot of people ask me a question of, well, if it's all like the collateral on it, because the way we're working is that it's essentially a lot like loan market. And a lot of people worry about the collateral of it, and they're asking, how can you do this without an oracle? Because the price of the asset drops. I think the value of the collateral is also going to drop, so then you're not going to be over collateralized. But the cool thing about it is that because of the geometric mean formula inside the AMM, it was such a novel approach at creating a DeFi product. It enables us to be able to do this without having any risk on the price itself. So that's why the price itself is relevant to the value of the collateral in the approach that we took in building it. So for that reason, we don't need an oracle, and that's pretty exciting, since you can build rivers now without an oracle, and that's something that hadn't been done before. So yeah, I mean, that's like, I know that the math is probably a little bit complex about it. I mean, I don't think it's that crazy, but it's it's a little bit sometimes a little bit hard to get your head around.
Right. Yeah. So just from an external standpoint, from what I'm seeing, you guys have a lot of math and algorithm built in. That's how you're kind of not using an oracle and still managing to do things so efficiently. Devin, anything else that you'd like to tell us on how you're innovating against the other competitors in the same landscape?
Yeah, I would say we don't have any true competitors to date, just because it's a totally new type of product. And I think that the biggest, I guess, misconception that I kind of want to harp on is that I think a lot of people look at us, and because the mechanisms behind the product are pretty sophisticated, think that it's going to be mostly an institutional product. But we really see it as like an AMM being like mostly a retail product, because if you're providing liquidity, you can basically provide liquidity in any pool and expect on average that yield's going to be higher, because the yield for an LP in our platform should always be greater than equal to the underlying AMM. So you have LPs that are already doing these strategies that want to earn a higher yield. And now on the other side, we're simplifying it a lot. So basically, you could just buy a call, put, or straddle on any token. So basically any altcoin that exists. And it's different than a perp in the sense that maybe something like GMX is better optimized for slippage, and you can get like up to 50x leverage. But for our type of platform, I guess it's more like a traditional option in the sense that you're not going to get liquidated for all your you get liquidated if the price moves against you. So in a lot of ways, that's good, especially for some of these volatile tokens. So we really see ourselves as a retail product. I think institutions will use it as well, but we're really trying to correct some of the mispricing. One, give people the option to get trade options, to get leverage on any token they want, and get better returns, but also correct some of the mispricing in AMM, so that DeFi TBL can scale to higher levels, and retail can still LP and expect to be positive EV on average.
Yeah, that really is a very interesting use case you have, especially for retail. So where on the product roadmap are you guys? Is the testnet already out there? Users already trying it? What's that timeline looking like?
Yeah, so right now our testnet's out. It's the alpha version. We're going through a pretty big UI change. We'll probably release like a beta version for a week or two before the mainnet. But so far on the alpha test version, we've been super impressed with the traction we're getting. We have over 15,000 testers, and it's a non-incentivized testnet, which we've been really excited about. Been getting good traction. We're pushing to get to mainnet, I'd say mid-February. We want to, launch with the right product and a really intuitive interface. So that's what we've been working on in the final stages of the audit with Halborn. So the smart contracts are looking good. It's mostly just a UI thing. And then after that, so we're going to launch with this service on top of Uniswap v2, SushiSwap, and Balancer. A month or so after, we'll also have an adapter for Uni v3, and then on the vein of making it easier for retail, we'll also have vaults that we're building that are hedging this impermanent loss for people automatically, and other structured products we have in mind. And then I think towards the end of the year, we also want to release our own AMM. It's actually not incentivized by swap fees at all. It's just purely a volatility marketplace. So we could also be the first DApp to release a few stacks, which I think could be really interesting if we get linked up with some of these liquidity aggregators. Yeah, in a lot of ways, I think even though we're a complex product, we're kind of like the Robinhood of DeFi in the sense that we're going to be competitive with fees and give people easy ways to trade options, on any token.
Yeah, it all definitely sounds very exciting, and good luck with the mainnet launch in February that you have in mind. We just alluded to the smart contract work that we have done together. So let me ask you a little bit more on security. First of all, what was the internal security strategy that you had in place? And even before you work with a partner like Halborn, what were the key criteria that you already had in mind?
So the way that we approach building all these smart contracts was to since it's going to be an open source project, and it's going to be out there in public blockchain, so anybody will be able to use it. And so you can't just depend on secrecy in this case, like in Web2 companies that they can, nobody's going to see their code unless they make it public. So we have to come up with an approach where everything works takes advantage of the features of Ethereum, of the place we're building. And instead of think of features in it as limitations of a smart contract, something that works with it, so that it's so that for example, like one of the reasons why I was very like I wasn't trying to do this using an Oracle or anything like that, is because then you have all these other attack vectors with flash loans, etc. So by making the product Oracle independent, price independent, all these things, you're already secure against all those attack vectors. You don't even have to worry about them anymore. So the things you only have to worry about are very minimal on like some special attack vectors, and we just try to work with it to make sure that we don't totally negate it, but we just minimize the efficacy of those attack vectors. Like try to use market approaches at other solutions. For example, someone's attacking the network, create an incentivization for other people to counterattack it, and that's a lot of the approaches that we take to mitigate some of the things that we consider to be attack vectors.
All right, so I guess actually a lot of the internal security standpoint is also in your logic itself of making it independent of price and oracles, which eliminates a lot of the vectors. And again, I want to harp a little bit more into the key criteria you go into when you choose an external auditor, because it's so important to have the right security partner in line. So what about Halborn made you choose the Halborn security team to partner with?
Yeah, I think reputation's a huge one, because obviously if you have a good reputation in the space, you do good work. And before getting audited, we looked through a lot of the different reports of auditors that we were potentially interested in. And we thought Halborn not only had that good reputation, but the way they audited the code was very concise. The way they kind of like outlined it after the review for others to look into was very easy to understand. And see if the project actually, was able to remediate those changes and mitigate maybe some of those potential vulnerabilities that were identified. So that was a huge thing as well. And then I think like the type of projects that an auditor works with, making sure that, you know, if you're a DeFi project, you're getting audited by a firm that has done some DeFi work versus maybe an infrastructure project. And then also the type of work, I think that's important, whether it's more smart contract or risk auditing. Like I think both are important. But since we didn't have an Oracle and there were other maybe attack vectors that weren't maybe normal in like a DeFi or derivatives app, we wanted to focus on a firm that was really good on the smart contract side, and that's what we felt about Halborn. Plus, just hearing I think good things through our network. It's kind of hard to just see everything online and just make your determination from that. So I always hiring, working with a external partner. I think referrals are one of the most important. Like, what was your impression working with this firm? And everyone I talked to had good things to say. So those were kind of all the aspects I took into account. I'm not sure if there's anything you want to add there, Daniel.
No, like you said, the reputation was very important. When we wanted another set of eyes to look at our smart contracts, and especially one that has a reputation, and also the reputation comes from their experience in the sector. So that was very important to us, seeing that experience there, and also that experience reflecting the reputation of the firm. There's another group of eyes to look at our smart contracts.
All right, that's absolutely great to hear. Devin and Daniel, if I could ask you another question. Looking back at your own journey maybe, and is there like anything that strikes you that you could give out as a piece of advice to other builders in the same space?
Regarding smart contracts, what I would say is try to use a market-based approach for countermeasures instead of having to rely on like a central, like one point of work that is centralized and could potentially fail. Like, for example, rely on Oracle. That's a big thing for me. I mean, that's part of the reason why I made it this way. Oracle free, because so. And also try to, and one way I guess to get to that point is to when you're building the smart contracts, don't think about the limitations that you find in blockchain in the space. Don't think of them as limitations. Think of them as features that you build around it, and that way you can come up with something that's more resilient, because it's actually it's made for this specific type of environment. For example, the AMM is great for blockchain, whereas an order book type of exchange is is very cumbersome to build on it. So it's not a good fit. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, I love that change of perspective from a limitation to a feature. Definitely great perspective there. And Devin, is there anything you would like to add to that answer?
Yeah, it's a hard question. I think like building in the bear market has been really interesting, just coming out of like the recent bull, there was a lot of noise. I think if you're building a real project, it's much easier to get attention and traction now, honestly, which may be counterintuitive to some people than a bull. So I think this is the time, if you have an innovative idea, to work on it. And then I would say, not rushing it, making sure you have because of the unique aspects of blockchain and things to take into consideration with security. I mean, obviously there's a lot of perks for that, but there can be risks as well. To make sure that you're taking your time, not only with the implementation, but the way you go to market, the users you're trying to target, making sure that there's something differentiating in the space. And I think there's some mistakes we made. And I think that was one thing we did very well, was Daniel's been working on this since mid 2021. And even the way we've been kind of going to market, we probably spent 7-8 months, interacting with the community, talking about what we're building before launching. So I would say, bear market, if you're building something innovative, this is the time, and don't be afraid to take it slow. It'll probably work out in your favor.
Right, that's definitely a built market situation going on right now. So thanks for all the pieces of advice you left in in this talk. And once again, thank you very much for taking the time out to talk to us. I definitely ended up learning a lot more about GammaSwap than what I walked into this conversation with. Thank you again, and we'll stay tuned for the updates.